All right, guys, I'm filming the XH2S. Shout out to Austin. It's my homie out here in Austin, Texas. He let me borrow this camera so I could do some dynamic range tests between the R5C. But yeah, I basically did this test because R5C is my workhorse. I use it for all my gigs. All the exposure tools and the cinema menu is so clutch for run and gun type gigs that I have to get stuck on. But I want to start doing more personal work. I'm part Native American and I'm very passionate about it. So I want to start documenting some stuff based on that. So stay tuned for all that. But anyways, if I'm going to be shooting stuff that I'm passionate about versus just like client work, I want a camera that I'm passionate about. And I freaking love the Fujifilm system. So I'm contemplating the XH2, XH2S, or the GFX 100S, maybe all of it. I'm not trying to spend $20,000 right now. So I want to test the dynamic range. And I'm assuming a lot of you guys are wondering the same thing with the R5C. So let's jump into it. All the XH2S clips were filmed in open gate, but I will go in and I will crop just so they're a little bit more even in ProRes LT. And then I did the Canon XF AVC and then the Canon RAW. So let's just jump into this now. I'm using manufacturer's log converters and then I'm stretching the footage. So this footage is supposed to look horrible because I want to stretch it and boost some saturation into it just to see when the footage will start breaking and how much info you could get out of it. The more you stretch it, the worse it's going to look. But again, I'm just seeing how much data is in there. So let's start with this. This is going to be the most drastic clip that's going to show the difference. So you see right here, we have the Fuji XH2S. I'm going to swipe. That is a Canon R5C and XF AVC. You can see there's a giant difference. There's I don't know, I want to say that's 2 stops at least that we're getting more on the Fuji. Also real quick, a little tidbit on how I expose these. I set the zebra settings equivalent to whatever log I was shooting in. So you can see the cloud up here is peaking and then the sky's not. And then when I go to the Fuji clip, the cloud's peaking just as much and the sky's not. So all these cameras were exposed pretty well. That's usually how I expose. I expose for the highlights and then I bring up the mids and shadows in post. Also, if you're shooting indoors, you have to blow out your highlights sometimes. So, but yeah, I'm using noise reduction too, because that's how you get more data out of your footage. Use noise reduction and it lets you stretch it, gives you more color info down low. It's pretty clutch. So you can see my jeans, the red in the shirt, my skin tones, everything. There's more color info on the XH2S. Then we go to the XF AVC on the Canon R5C, it's just all that's gone. But then if we go to the Canon RAW, you see in Canon RAW, it holds up a lot better. I want to say it's almost equal. I want to say with the XH2S, the exposures are continuously brighter in the mids, the gray point is higher. So I think that lets you bring it down more and lets you save more highlights. I think that's what's going on here. But you can see in the RAW, we can see the blue in the jeans, the red in the shirt looks a lot better. Very similar to the Fuji. I'm not trying to match the colors up or anything like that, so ignore the white balance. Let's go to our next clips, the outdoor clips. You see, once you get outdoors, we're not having to stress the dynamic range as much, so you're not gonna see as big of a difference, but there's still a little bit of a difference. Let me just screenshot this. So you see the brighter one's the Fuji, and then here's the XF AVC. You can see we're losing more color details in there. But once again, I can go in to the Canon clip and I will lift the shadows up even more. You can see there's still a lot more info on the R5C and XF AVC that you could stretch, but still, I'm gonna punch in here just so you guys can see this. I'm at 200%. This is the Fuji. You can see we're still getting a lot of color details here in the tree. I am using an older lens. I'm using the 23 1.4, the old one, versus an RF 24-70, which that lens is pretty much all the RF glass is on GFX level glass. So there's a big difference in that. So don't pay attention. Again, this is about color, depth, and dynamic range. See, with the R5C and XF AVC, you're gonna have to stretch the footage a lot more and pump in more saturation to get a similar look. So it's close. But as you saw from the indoor shots, there's still a pretty freaking big difference. So, but let me go to the RAW clip here. You see, once again, in the Canon shot, the gray point, the middle point is a lot deeper. It's a lot lower. Now in this last clip here, I just want to involve some skin tones outdoors. So there we go. This is the Canon. That's the Fuji. You can see once again, the Fuji has a little bit more saturation to it and the Canon looks a little bit more natural, I want to say, but they look pretty freaking similar. Let's zoom into my hair right here because this is the most hard contrasty point. So again, this is the Fuji. You can see the different colors in my hair, some brown, and then let's sweep to the Canons. Again, this is the 8K RAW. See, it looks pretty similar. I did correct the black points, and so I wouldn't pay attention too much to how looks brighter. This is all clipped blacks here. You can see little bits of strands in there. I don't even know if you can see that on YouTube. And it's the same thing on the Fuji, but I just clipped the blacks in post a little bit more. So guys, yeah, that's pretty much it. This is pretty wild that the Fujifilm XH2S, like its dynamic range, I want to say it's either at the same level as the R5C RAW or maybe a little bit better. I feel like that's wrong. I don't know. It's pretty wild. I mean, from what I'm seeing, it does a little bit better, which is insane. Also, when you shoot RAW, you get a lot more color depth in it. Just everything looks a little bit more, it's soothes into each other a little bit better, if that even makes sense. So if like Fuji was to give us internal RAW, like this thing's gonna be a powerhouse camera. Now, if you guys are wondering if I'm going to get rid of my Canon gear, currently no. This R5C is a workhorse when it comes to video gigs. The fact that it has the cinema menus and I have false color, anamorphic D-squeeze inside, shutter angle, just like all of that just makes life so much more easier when you're shooting run and gun video work. So until the day that Fuji gives us all of that, I'm stuck with this guy. It's a great camera. Again, this does just as well. So I'm definitely going to switch out my R5. I'm going to sell my R5, get the R5C, get a Fuji camera. I want the GFX too. So yeah, I'm not trying to spend $20,000. But yeah, Fuji, if you want to hook it up, let's do this. Anyways, I'm rambling on now. That is it. Feel free to fight in the comments on if you like these results or not. It is what it is. I feel like I did the test pretty accurately. So yep. Anyways, that's it. I'm rambling. Peace.